In the village of Ilobo Ekiti, there was a girl named Fadekemi. She was the most beautiful girl anyone had ever seen. Her skin was smooth like fresh palm oil, her eyes shined like the stars, and her body was shaped like a queen's. Every young man in the village wanted to marry her, but Fadekemi was proud. She looked down on everyone. She walked through the village like she was a goddess, expecting people to bow to her. She never greeted others, never helped anyone, and she always spoke rudely. Whenever a man asked for her hand in marriage, she would laugh in his face. You want to marry me? What do you have? Look at your torn slippers. Look at your small hut. How can you take care of your queen like me? She would say. One day, a rich young man from a faraway town came to Ilobo Ekiti. His name was Adebayo. He had many cows, bags of yam, and even gold. The villagers thought surely Fadekemi would marry him. But when Adebayo came to her house and told her he wanted to marry her, she frowned. Your cows are fat, but you are not handsome enough, she said. Your nose is too big. Your legs are too short. I cannot marry a man who looks like this. Adebayo left angrily. The villagers shook their heads. One day, an old woman with a bent back and a walking stick came to Fadekemi's house. She was a well-known herbalist named Iyaba, and people feared her because she had powerful charms. My daughter, Iyaba said, beauty fades, but a kind heart lasts forever. Change your ways before it is too late. Fadekemi hissed and laughed. Old woman, do you think your wrinkled face can teach me about beauty? Get out of my house before I call my father's guards. Iyaba looked at her with sad eyes. Then she raised her hand and pointed a long bony finger at Fadekemi. Since you love pride more than kindness, you shall marry a man who will humble you. From this day forward, no rich man, no strong man, no handsome man will ever want you. You will marry the one person you never expected, a dwarf. Then Iyaba turned and walked away. At first, Fadekemi laughed. That old woman is mad, she said. But the next week, when another rich man came to ask for her hand in marriage, something strange happened. As soon as he looked into Fadekemi's eyes, he became afraid and ran away. Another man came, but the moment he touched her, his body started shaking like he had seen a ghost. Soon, no man in the village wanted to marry her. Days turned to weeks, weeks turned to months, and months turned to years. Fadekemi's beauty remained, but no one admired it anymore. One evening, as she sat outside her father's house, she saw a small shadow moving towards her. She looked up and gasped. It was a dwarf. His name was Ojo. He was the shortest man in the village. His head was big, his legs were short, and his voice was deep. He was kind, hardworking, and wise, but no woman had ever wanted to marry him. Fadekemi's heart started beating fast. She suddenly felt afraid. Ojo smiled and said, Fadekemi, will you be my wife? Fadekemi wanted to say no, but she found her mouth would not move. Her heart screamed, no, 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 but her lips betrayed her. She had herself say yes. The villagers gasped. Ojo took her hand, and Fadekemi felt tears roll down her cheeks. The curse had come true. Fadekemi was now married to Ojo, the dwarf. The whole village in Ilobo Ekiti could not believe it. People gathered in groups, whispering and laughing. See the beautiful Fadekemi. She said no man was good enough for her, but look at her now, married to a dwarf. She used to call other men ugly and poor, But now she is the wife of the shortest man in the village. Fadekemi's friends, Aduni, Ronke, and Toyin, made fun of her the most. Whenever they saw her, they would laugh and cover their mouths, pretending to whisper, but making sure Fadekemi could hear them. Fadekemi, how is your tall husband? Aduni walked. Ronke laughed. Maybe she carries him on her back when they go to the farm. Toyin added, or maybe he sits on a stool to kiss her. The women burst into laughter. Fadekemi's face burned with shame. She wanted to shout at them, to insult them like she used to, but she could not. She was no longer the proud Fadekemi that commanded people. She had no choice but to lower her head and walk away. At home, life was even worse. Ojo was kind to her, but she could not love him. She refused to eat with him. She refused to talk to him. She even refused to sleep in the same room as him. I cannot live like this, she cried one night. Ojo sighed and said, Fadekemi, I know you do not want me, but I am still your husband. You can hate me, but I will not mistreat you. But Fadekemi did not care. Every day she wished the curse would break. Every night she dreamed of waking up and finding herself married to a rich tall man. One day she decided she had suffered enough. I cannot continue living as a laughingstock, she said. I must find the Yaba and beg her to break this curse. She tied her wrapper tightly, took a calabash of palm wine, and left for the old woman's hut deep in the forest. As she walked, she did not know that someone was watching her. It was Tade, a jealous and wicked hunter who had always wanted to marry Fadekemi. He had been angry when she rejected him, but now he was happy to see her suffer. She is going to beg the old woman, Tade thought. If this curse is broken, she will be free again. No, I must stop this. Tade picked up his bow and arrow and followed her quietly into the forest. Fadekemi did not know that danger was behind her. Fadekemi walked deeper into the forest, her heart pounding with hope. If Iyaba can break this curse, I will be free, she whispered to herself. She pushed aside thick branches, stepping carefully over roots and falling leaves. The journey was long, but she was determined. What she didn't know was that Tade, the wicked hunter, was following her silently, hiding behind trees like a shadow. After a while, she reached a small hut made of mud and palm fronds. Smoke rose from the thatched roof, and the air smelled of burning herbs. Fadekemi hesitated, then knocked softly on the wooden door. Who is there? A deep voice called from inside. It is me, Fadekemi, she said. I have come to beg you, Iyaba. Please, open the door. There was silence. Then the door creaked open, and the old woman stepped out. She looked the same, her back still bent, her skin wrinkled like dried leaves, and her walking stick still as strong as ever. So, you have come, Iyaba said, her eyes sharp like a hawk's. Fadekemi knelt quickly. Please, Iyaba, I was foolish before, I was rude, proud and unkind, but I have suffered enough. The whole village laughs at me. My friends mock me. I cannot bear being married to a dwarf. Please, break this curse, I beg you. The old woman stared at her for a long time, then sighed. Stand up, Fadekemi. Fadekemi obeyed, hope rising in her chest. The gods do not give second chances easily, Iyaba said. You disrespected me, you insulted many, you treated men like death. Now, you want the curse lifted, just like that. Fadekemi swallowed hard. I will do anything, she whispered. Iyaba picked up a small wooden bowl from inside her hut. She dipped her fingers into it and drew strange symbols on Fadekemi's forehead. If you truly want the curse lifted, Iyaba said, you must pass one final test. Fadekemi nodded eagerly. What must I do? Iyaba pointed towards the thickest part of the forest. Go into the dark forest and fetch me a calabash of water from Omiaje, the sacred river. But be warned, many who enter do not return. Fadekemi shivered. The dark forest was known to be filled with spirits, wild animals, and unseen dangers, but it was the only way. She had no choice. I will go, she said firmly. She picked up an empty calabash, tied it to her waist, and took a deep breath before stepping into the darkness of the forest. But behind her, hiding among the trees, Tade smirked. She thinks she will break the curse. Never, he whispered. She will not leave the forest alive. Tade tightened his grip on his bow and arrow, and he followed her into the darkness. Fadekemi walked deeper into the dark forest, her heart beating fast. The trees stood tall like giants, their branches twisting like the arms of spirits. Strange noises echoed around her, whispers in the wind, the rustling of unseen creatures, and the distant cry of an owl. She clutched the calabash tightly and whispered, I must do this, I must break the curse. But she did not know that Tade, the wicked hunter, was following her. He moved like a shadow, his eyes filled with jealousy and anger. After walking for what felt like hours, Fadekemi finally reached Umuaje, the sacred river. The water sparkled under the moonlight, and the air smelled fresh and sweet. She bent down, scooped the water into her calabash, and smiled. For the first time in a long while. I did it, she whispered. But as she turned to leave, she heard a voice behind her. Going somewhere? Fadekemi spun around and gasped. Tade stood there, his bow drawn, an arrow pointed straight at her chest. You think you can break the curse and return to your proud life, he sneered. No, you will not leave this forest alive. Fadekemi's hands shook. Tade, please. Silence, he barked. I will make sure you remain a laughingstock forever. He released the arrow. Fadekemi screamed and shut her eyes, but before the arrow could reach her, a sudden wind blew fiercely through the forest. The arrow changed direction and hit a tree instead. A deep voice echoed through the air, making the ground tremble. Enough! Tade gasped and stumbled back. A bright light appeared, and from it Iyaba stepped forward, her eyes glowing like fire. Tade, your heart is full of wickedness, she said. You wanted to harm an innocent woman. For that, you shall be punished. She raised her staff, and in an instant, Tade fell to the ground, his body shrinking, his legs twisting. He cried out in horror as he transformed into a small ugly bush rat. The forest fell silent. Iyaba turned to Fadekemi, who was still shaking. You have completed your task, the old woman said, and you have faced danger with courage. But tell me, Fadekemi, do you truly want the curse broken? Fadekemi froze. For the first time, she thought about Ojo, the dwarf she had married. She had spent months hating him, refusing to talk to him, feeling ashamed of him. But the truth was, Ojo had never mistreated her. He had always been patient, kind, and understanding. He never mocked her, even when the whole village did. She realized something deep in her heart. Ojo was the only person who had ever truly cared for her. Slowly, she knelt before Iyaba. Iya, I do not need the curse to be broken, she said. I was blind before, I thought beauty and wealth were everything, but I was wrong. Ojo is a good man. He treats me with respect. I want to go back to him. Iyaba smiled. Then you have truly changed, Fadekemi. She waved her staff, and a golden light surrounded Fadekemi. Your curse is lifted, not because you begged, but because you have learned the meaning of love and kindness. Iyaba said, go home and be happy with your husband. Fadekemi thanked her and hurried back to the village. When she arrived, the people were shocked to see her smiling and running straight to Ojo. My husband, she said, kneeling before him, please forgive me for how I have treated you. I was foolish, but I now know that a good heart is better than riches or beauty. I love you, Ojo. Ojo was surprised but happy. He lifted her up and hugged her. The villagers who had once laughed at her now cheered. From that day on, Fadekemi and Ojo lived happily together. She became a kind and humble woman, loved by all. And so, the proud, beautiful girl who was once cursed to marry a dwarf found true love, not in riches, not in beauty, but in love. And that's the end of today's story, my dear friends. Thank you so much for taking the time to journey with me through another tale. Whether it made you smile, think, or simply pause for a moment in your busy day, I'm truly grateful you choose to spend it here. To all my amazing subscribers, your continued love and support mean the world. Every like, comment, and share brings this storytelling family closer together. And if you are new here, welcome. I hope you felt the warmth, the magic, and the heartbeat behind every word. Remember, every story has a lesson, every voice matters, and you, yes, you are a part of something beautiful. Until next time, keep your heart open, your spirit curious, and never stop believing in the power of a good story. Stay safe, stay kind, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.